Okay. Try to go finish it off the right way this week versus UMass, and that's where our focus is. So, fire away.
But Jim, as you go to the last game of the season, you kind of look back on it a little bit. What do you kind of see that you take away from the season that is positive, and what are the things that you take away that you have to change?
Positive is our guys continue to fight week in and week out. Negative is the record, and what do we need to change? Is that what your third? A lot. Number one, we have to change. There's a lot of things that need to change. College football is ever evolving, and the reality of the situation in college football now is that players win games. Players win games. Any coach, anyone that's ever been involved with athletics in general will tell you that players win games. In college football right now, in order to get players, you have to have money. If you don't have money, you're not going to get players. If you don't have players, you're not going to win games. So that has to change. We competed this year, I think, was it 3 or 4 Power 5 teams? And next year, I think there's 4 on our schedule. They're spending millions and millions of dollars on NIL. The average of the top 25 group of 5 teams spending on NIL is $1.5 million on players. I'm not going to tell you what our number is because it's last year, what it was last year, but it's not even in that stratosphere. I was very clear last year after the season. I was very clear all off season when I spoke to people in our community, in the UConn community, that winning 6 games doesn't just happen. And that if this program wants to improve, the level of support is going to have to amp up rapidly. And when I talk about support, I'm talking about financial support. And it did not. And that's not the reason, but that's what has to change. The positive is I feel that it's changing. I feel like our athletic director's done a really good job of impressing upon the people in the UConn community that if we want to compete, so I went back and I looked. I would say that probably the 4 best group of 5 teams historically are Boise State, Fresno State. I didn't look at Liberty. I should have included Liberty, but I included JMU and I included Tulane. Okay, the Power 5 teams that they compete against is 2, and yet we're averaging about 4 a year. Okay, those guys have tons of money to spend. We don't. So if we want it to change, then things have to change. Change is uncomfortable. But that's what has to happen. I mean, you cannot win without players. You cannot get players in this day and age, as unfortunate as it is, as uncomfortable as it is, without money, dollars to pay them. And unfortunately, we in the past haven't had money to pay players like our opponents have had money to pay players.
So you're confident that's changing?
I'm not confident. I'm hopeful. I see progress. I don't think we're even scratching the surface of where we need to be, but I see people that are interested in investing. But if we don't do that, then we will not win. It is just a fact of college football today. You could go hire Bear Bryant, and if you didn't have money to pay players in the NIL, you will not win. It is a known fact in college football today. And we didn't have money to pay guys last year, and the money that we had, which was minimal, we spent on 22 of our players that were here because we didn't get that money until the summer when all the portal stuff was done. So, I was very clear. Like I said, I was crystal clear all off season what needed to happen to try to attain build on what we had last year, and it didn't happen. And that is one of the reasons that we are where we are right now. And that is a fact. And if you want me to gloss over it, if people don't like to hear it, well, I don't know what to tell you. I'm going to stand here and I've told you the truth every week. I'm going to tell you the truth again, as hard as it is to hear. That's the facts of college football. So I don't know what else you want me to say. And that's not the reason for every loss, but that's one of the reasons why this team is sitting here with 2 wins.
The time that you have dedicated now to taking care of that problem must take away from what your whole career you've done best, which is coaching.
Well, I'm not a fundraiser. I wasn't hired to be a fundraiser. I've never been a fundraiser. I've never been asked to fundraise. I don't have a degree in fundraising. I'm not a business major. I'm a football coach.
Jim, I remember talking to you in the offseason, looking ahead to this season, you said you fully expected to be a better football team than you were.
I mean, look, just a sec. I have 120 players. Okay? Basketball teams in this country have 12 to 15, right? That the time investment in our players is so critical. And, you know, like I said, there's only so many hours in a day, right? Between recruiting, the portal, nurturing your own players. There's just hard, cold realities that people have to face. And the world of college football has changed dramatically. And to win, you have to have people that go out and raise money, and a lot of money. I mean a lot of money. Like, if we want to be a top group of 5 team, it is a fact that we have to have at least $1.5 million in NIL money. At least to compete with who we're competing against. And so that's, like I said, I don't think people are going to want to hear that, but I don't really care what they want to hear, because that's the truth. That is just the truth. That's the truth today. And it's unfortunate. And it's not, you know, it's not what anybody wanted college football to be, I don't think. But it is the truth, you know? Okay, I'm sorry I cut you off there.
I know you had expectations to be a better football team this year than last year when you were coming into this season.
I think we are a better football team.
That's what I was going to ask
Yeah.
you, despite the bottom line of a record, because there's a lot of variables that go into that.
Yeah.
You think you are a better team than you were last
I do, but not good enough. You know, not good enough. You know, we haven't run the ball like we did last year, and you know, no excuses, but there's reasons. You know, 2 of our top running backs decided that they wanted to go in the portal, and they thought that they could go, you know, find a better situation and make money elsewhere. So that hurt us. You know, we had a young quarterback, or not a young quarterback, an inexperienced in Taekwon who's really grown. So there's been improvement there, but you know, we haven't been able to be balanced enough. You know, we sustained some injuries on defense. I think in the secondary, you know, guys playing hurt that have hurt us. But we're a better football team with the worst record, and that's extremely frustrating. You know, because you see where the world is going, and we play, like I said, go look at the top group of 5 teams in the country and look at their schedule and compare it to our schedule. So if we're going to play those teams and people want us to beat Duke and North Carolina State and Syracuse and Maryland next year and Wake Forest next year, then there needs to be a commitment monetarily to helping us get the players that can beat them. Because if you're not going to help us get the players to beat them, then you are not entitled to bitch when we don't beat them.
You've said a few times over the 2 years here that this, I don't know if it's verbatim, but it's been one of the most rewarding experiences of your career. Given the frustrations of this season, are you still as happy as you were?
It's been very rewarding. Am I happy? No. But it's been very rewarding. I'm not happy when we lose. We work too hard to win. So no, when we lose, I'm not happy. I'm not happy that the expectation around here is beating 2 FCS teams, like someone brought up after the game last week. I'm happy that, and I also think it's very sad, that, do you guys know that was the highest margin of victory at UConn in 10 years? That's like, to me, that's mind-boggling. That's mind-boggling, and not in a positive way.
Coach, just some impressions on UMass.
Oh, I like UMass. They're big and physical up front. They average about 320 across the board on offense. They brought in Pumachan He's been hurt. He has a knee. You can see that affected him a little bit, but he's regained his form as a runner, I think, and a thrower. He's big. He's physical. He's played in big games. I think they've got two really good running backs that are dynamic, explosive guys, and I think they've got a really good receiving core that has speed. I haven't looked a lot at their defense yet, but I have great respect for Don Brown. I don't know how involved he is with the defense. I'm assuming that he's pretty involved because I think he's a great defensive mind. And they're going to be a challenge. I've never been to UMass, to the stadium. I'm looking forward to that. And I think it's always fun to play teams that are, in the same vicinity geographically as UMass is.
I asked only because he's a local guy, but one of their receivers, Anthony Simpson, is
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted, you mentioned their receiving core. I wondered if anything about him has jumped out at you.
Yeah, so we recruited him in the portal, and he chose UMass. He had a connection with Coach Brown from Arizona, and he's a really good football player. I mean, he's dynamic. He can run. He catches in traffic. He's good on the jet sweep stuff. I think he's a really good football player, and he's someone that we certainly have to make sure that we have a plan for. Yeah, I like him a lot. Anything else? Okie doke. Thank you.
Players will be out.